Hello, welcome to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education and Research Center at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Grow West, the Technology Council of West Kentucky, KY Innovation, and our local partner, Sprocket Innovation in Paducah, and the Kentucky Innovation Station in Madisonville. This week, we are going to talk about ransomware. Ransomware is a topic that we have talked about many times on 10 at 10. I have talked about ransomware maybe more than any other malicious activity over the last few years, and one that continues to be on the rise and something that we have to keep a hold of. The reason we're talking about ransomware today is, simply put, I keep getting questions about it. There's concern that because of the geopolitical climate that we have going on, that there's going to be more ransomware attacks, which I think, honestly, that's fair. But I also think that there's some concern that there's going to be retaliation over our embargo on imports from Russia, and that Russian supported cyber malicious actors, state supported actors, are going to increase activity with ransomware against the US. All of that may be true, but the bottom line is, really, ransomware is on the rise. It was on the rise last year. It's expected and predicted to be on the rise this year. And if we're not taking active measures to prevent our organization from getting ransomware, or having reducing the impact from ransomware, then we're not doing our job to protect our business. So, yeah, it's a relevant topic for today. And let me start off by talking a little bit about ransomware. I just took a couple of screen captures of old ransomware examples. So essentially, ransomware is where so you click a link. Usually it's because you clicked a link, you opened an email, you clicked a link in an email on a website, something along those lines. And it, without getting into a lot of technical detail, encrypts your data. So you can't get your data back unless you pay the ransom. That's essentially what it does. Sometimes the ransom, actually, when ransomware first came out, it could have been it's usually in Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency, but it was as little as, a few $100s, and now it's a few $1 million and everything in between. Ransomware is certainly an important thing for our businesses to protect ourselves against. Normally they give you some time. You have 48 hours to pay, or 96 hours to pay, whatever it might be. You have some time limit to pay, and it's wanting to force you into paying, because if you don't pay, then you're not going to get access to your business's files. So, first of all, in the last 12 months, some research that I found online, in the last 12 months, 22% of organizations had to cease business operations immediately because of ransomware. 81%, so 4 out of 5 businesses have experienced a cyber attack. 2/3 have experienced a data breach, and 35%, so 3.5 out of 10 businesses have been the victims of ransomware. It's real. It's growing. It's going to only grow even more. So what I wanted to spend time on today, not talking about how bad it is, because it is bad. I don't want to focus on that. I actually want to spend time with you today to talk about what it is that we need to do to stay safe in cyberspace. So, and in particular, in the world of ransomware. So let's talk about that and dive into that just a little bit. Some prevention tips. These come from the FBI. First of all, practice safe internet browsing habits. Now, FBI put it a little bit different, but internet browsing habits need to be considered. That it includes email, and that includes true web page browsing. If you get an email with a link in the email, do not assume it's safe. Just because it looks like it came from a friend of yours or from a colleague of yours doesn't mean that it did. Just be uber safe. And maybe we'll take some time in an upcoming episode to talk about some of those specific habits that we can take to make sure that we're safe. We've talked about those before, but that's certainly something that's important. If you take nothing else away from today, understand you clicking a link takes away all the security features that we have. Everything that we've done to protect our business, you clicking the link takes that away. And the reason that's the case is that we can have the most secure firewall, we can have the most secure perimeter, but our employees are inside that firewall. If you do something from the inside, then that bad actor has figured out how to get inside the firewall. They have penetrated the firewall just by you clicking that link. That's the concern. That's the fear. That's why ransomware is so rampant, is because it's through phishing attempts and you're on the inside. So our great firewall that we have doesn't really matter when it comes to ransomware. Number two, keep your operating systems, your software, your applications current and up to date. When you click that link and it starts to encrypt data, that ransomware is going to want to, depending on the variant and different things, it's going to want to encrypt everything that you have permission to encrypt. It wants to hold all the data ransom that it can possibly get its hands on. It's going to do that based on what permissions you have. So as I talked about last week, the least privilege is the way to do it. But it's also going to do it based on vulnerabilities in applications and software. So the more that your applications and your software are up to date, the better you are. There may even be avenues in for ransomware through those vulnerabilities in software and applications. So if there's software that can be updated, you should update it. I'll give the caveat, if it's mission critical, then sometimes you want to make sure that the patch isn't going to do something more harm, but that is an important piece. Number three, make sure your antivirus and your anti-malware solutions are set to automatically update and run regular scans. If a bad actor creates a new ransomware for you or has a brand new one that's just been released in the wild, then you may not have a signature to scan for. But if it's been out a little bit, like the examples that I showed a couple screens ago, those have been out long enough that if you have anti-malware solutions, antivirus solutions, then you're probably going to be able to see those solutions or those signatures and stop them, but only if you're updating it and only if you're running regular scans. So make sure that you do both of those. The next two I'm going to talk about together. Back up your data, back up your data, back up your data, back up your data. You need to back up your data regularly and double check that those backups were completed and completed correctly. Don't assume that your data is being backed up. Make sure that your data is being backed up, and then secure your backups. If you get hit with ransomware and you have permission to access the backup tapes, then your backup tapes may get encrypted as well. If you're backing up to another computer, then that's your backup solution, then that ransomware may encrypt that computer as well. And then you would not be able to restore from your backups. So not only should you back up regularly, make sure that you're securing your backups and that they're not connected to the computers and networks that they're backing up, so that they're offline, that they're one of the best practices for backups is to do it off site. So if there's a fire, the backup tapes don't get burnt as well, or store it in the cloud or whatever. Same thing's true in this case. If you have permissions on the device that's backing up your files, then that backup may get encrypted as well. And that has happened, not just happened around the world, but it's happened in our region a few times. So make sure that you're doing that. And then finally, create a plan that if you get ransomware, if your business is under attack of ransomware, what do? You do not want to wait until you get hit with ransomware to come up with a plan. You do not want to wait until you're under attack to think, what do I do now? You should be thinking about that ahead of time. Think about it now before you get hit. Planning now is going to save you a lot later. So I highly recommend that you do that. We'll try to get into a few of these in a little bit more detail in future episodes. But I think it's important because I do keep getting that question about ransomware right now. So I wanted to share that with you. I hope that helps. If there's a specific item that I talked about today that you would like to hear more about or you would like to ask me, let me know. And actually, in an upcoming episode, I'm going to talk about our Security Matters conference that's coming up on April 21st. And one of our speakers is going to talk about the rise of ransomware in that geopolitical environment. So put that on your calendars for April 21st. Come out and you can hear more about this as well. Thank you for joining this week on 10 at 10. I hope you found it interesting, and I'll see you right back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.